Welcome to Stoners Day with Kevin Clark. I am Kevin Clark.
Yeah.
Mike Greenberg today. Electric guest, electric debut. Here's Greeny. Amazing stuff. All right, Mike Greenberg, he's the host of Greeny. He's the host of Get Up. He's got a book coming out, Got Your Number. Looking forward to that. We like to do, we'll call it a soft launch of takes here, okay? You're not really sure about something, you're workshopping a take, you can have anything you want. Is there a take you need to unleash right now? You haven't said it on Greeny, you haven't said it on Get Up, but you're thinking about it, you want to soft launch it here. We have take amnesty here. We're good. You can say it's a safe space for any take that you want to workshop.
The Cowboys are going to be in the Super Bowl this year.
Whoa, what? Okay. Let's hear it.
I think that sometimes in life, and this is a life lesson, you're much, much younger than I am. And there are some things that I've learned, and you're about to have a baby and all that kind of stuff. So you're at a stage of life that I remember well. And I wish people had given me certain pieces of advice when I was younger. I'm going to give you one. When something happens to you and you are convinced it is the worst thing that could happen to you, the best thing you can do is figure out how to make it wind up having been good. And almost no one looks at that. Most people look at drawbacks as setbacks, as terrible things. And I'm not talking about legitimate tragedy. I'm not talking about people dying and stuff like that. But I'm talking largely professional and other of these sort of things. When something bad happens to you in your career, when you have a setback, the best thing you can do is look at it and say, what opportunity does this create for me to do better, to get better, to improve myself or my situation or otherwise? And so when Dak Prescott hurt himself in the first game of this season, what seemed like the worst thing that could happen to the Cowboys was actually the best, because what they were forced to recognize is they are not built like a team that wins because they have a great quarterback. They are built like a team that wins because they run it, because they make a few plays out of play action with some of their weapons on the outside who are explosive but not outstanding, and they win largely because they have the best defense in the NFL. While everyone is talking about Tampa's defense, the Cowboys actually have the best defense in the NFL. And these 3 games that they have played since Dak got hurt have forced them to recognize that. And as a consequence, when Dak comes back, if they are smart, they will continue to play the same style. They will continue to run their offense through Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard. And they will be able to do it with, instead of a game manager whose ceiling is a poor man's Jimmy Garoppolo in Cooper Rush, they will do it with a player whose ceiling is a rich man's, a poor man's Josh Allen. That's what Dak Prescott is. But Dak Prescott isn't Josh Allen. He isn't a top 3 or 4 NFL quarterback, but he's much closer to that than he is to being below average. I'm doing a terrible job of categorizing Dak Prescott. He's an excellent player.
This is why we soft launched the take, Greeny. This is the space to work it out. It's a sandbox.
That's exactly right. Dak Prescott is an excellent player, and they should be able to take this and run with it. And I think if you look at Green Bay, they have obvious flaws. If you look at Tampa, they have obvious flaws. If you look at the Rams, they have obvious flaws. If you look at the Eagles and the Cowboys, I think right now the Eagles look like the most complete team in the NFC, and it's kind of hard to argue, what they've done. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't put it past the Cowboys when it's all said and done to be just as good, if not better than them. They played each other last year twice, and I think the Cowboys won those 2 games by 42 points. I'm not even mean that as a joke. I think the combined margin of victory was something like 42 points. So if you're looking for, I keep wanting to do a segment on Get Up called "Say Something and Duck," like say something that you actually kind of think is true, but then like duck because the reaction is coming. That's sort of what this is. I am most certainly not betting any amount of money that matters to me that the Cowboys are going to make it to the Super Bowl. But would I consider it shocking at this moment in time? I would not.
I agree with parts of this. Micah Parsons is one of the 3 best players in football. He's been on this show. It took him 5 minutes to turn his camera on. It was wonderful. He was at the Pro Bowl. I don't blame him. I think I'm going to push back on this. The Packers are going through growing pains in the same way, but less dramatic. They understand after yesterday they can't stop the run. They understand they still need to clean up stuff with their receivers. They'll get there. But the backs are doing well. They're figuring out, they're working in Big Bob Tunyon at tight end. They're solving their problems on the fly. It's just not taking a Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers type of injury. So I think that in the same way that you think the Dallas is kind of changing the way that they're approaching things, which I think is going to be positive. I agree with you. We did a segment on our podcast this morning talking about how maybe the Cowboys are a playoff team because of just the fact that they're treading water and doing well. Although the Commanders are not exactly a Power 5 win, but I think that the Packers are going through something similar right now and winning and beating a Patriots team that threw the kitchen sink at them, and they get to solve their problems on the fly. So I actually think the Packers are the ones who are turning a negative into a positive right now as far as the top of the
Can I, life and everything in life is how you spin it. So one way of looking at the Packers win yesterday is the Patriots threw the kitchen sink at them. The other way of looking at that win is the Packers needed 70 minutes at home to beat Bailey Zappi. So I think life is kind of all in how you look at it. And I agree with you that that's a better way to look at it if you're them. I'm less convinced that they're going to get it figured out than a lot of other people are. I will tell you, you are in good company. Most of the people I work with at ESPN, everyone who was on Get Up this morning, particularly Dan Orlovsky, believe they will 100% get it figured out. I'm a little bit less convinced of that.
I want to switch topics for a second. So what we like to do on this show is do a lot of research on our guests and figure out what makes them tick, what they like. Great example. We found out Colin Cowherd a couple weeks ago loves to watch British mystery shows because he likes ugly people on TV, frankly. He doesn't want to see La La Land with Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. He wants to see random people with bad teeth. Okay, so that was his take. It was a great one. I have found out a couple of things. Number one, you think it's acceptable to eat almost anything with a knife and fork. Can you expand on that? And what are your limits on that, Mike Greenberg?
Not almost. The only part of that I would disagree with is everything. There is nothing you should not eat with a knife and fork, except for things that must be eaten with a spoon. You should eat all things with utensils. So I will not eat a smoothie with a knife and fork. But everything should be eaten via some vessel. And the reason, there is one reason for that and one reason only, and that is I do not like getting my fingers on anything. A, I don't like anything that might be on my fingers getting into anything that I'm eating. And B, equally important, I do not like anything I'm eating getting onto my fingers, particularly anything that might leave an odor. This became a very big deal when I ate wings on Super Bowl Sunday last year with a knife and fork. Stephen A. Smith, among many others, just blasted me for it. But I like wings. Wings are my weakness. Of all everyone has an unhealthy food product that they can't resist. For some people, it's burgers. For some people, it's whatever. Mine is wings, buffalo wings. The smell of them, I can't resist. But I do not want that smell on my fingers for the rest of the day or even for any period of time. So I eat wings with a knife and fork. I think all things should be eaten with some form of utensil.
Are you aware that take seems like a scene from Mindhunter? Like, we're interviewing you in a prison, you're a serial killer, and that's like your biggest corner that you're on, is that wings should be eaten with a fork and knife.
Yeah. So this has been a thing for me for a very long time. And I eat sandwiches with a fork and knife. I eat pizza in New York. I'm from New York City. I grew up in New York. I come by pizza, honestly. I eat New York City slices of pizza with a fork and knife. If I can stop you right there,
do you do it in the pizza shop?
Yes, correct.
And then do they ever say to you, sir, you need to leave? Or are they okay with it?
They have. So parenthetically, they have forks and knives for a reason. There is plastic cutlery in every pizza place you will ever step foot into for the rest of your life, because I'm not the only person who does this. And so I will either eat the pizza there with a fork and knife, or I will get it, in a paper bag, and I will take it somewhere else and eat it in that place with a fork and knife. But what I will not do, unless there is some extraordinary extenuating circumstance, is walk down the street eating it with my hands. In the event that I have to, which does happen, I need like 14 napkins. I need as many napkins as one could possibly have to keep a significant barrier between my skin and the pizza.
You might as well wear a hazmat suit at that point. Just to ensure that there's no contact between the food and your skin.
Yeah, I think the hazmat suit is an extraordinarily underrated article of clothing. I'm a big fan of not being around any hazardous material, and my definition of hazardous might be a little different than the average. So I don't like anything with an odor. I don't like anything that has like a certain feel to it. Anything greasy or inadvertently wet, I don't like. So a hazmat suit isn't. You say that as though it's there's a negative connotation to that. I admire the hazmat suit.
Sir, you are a Northwestern football and Jets fan. You know all about avoiding hazardous materials. You know all about needing to keep a distance there.